Beethoven A Tempo. This is the title of my new recording of two piano sonatas by Ludwig van Beethoven, Opus 2 number 1 in F minor and Opus 110 in A flat major. Beethoven A Tempo. There is a reason for this title, and this reason is that I play both piano sonatas according to historical metronome markings given by a man called Carl Czerny, a friend and pupil of Beethoven. Those metronome markings bring to light tempi that are very different indeed from what we are used to today, and as a result, these different tempi create a fascinating new experience of Beethoven's music. Welcome to this musical journey. Now let's go to the music room. Enjoy. My name is Bernhard Ruchti. I'm a pianist, organist and composer based in Switzerland, and I'm going to be talking about my new recording of the piano sonatas Opus 2 number 1 in F minor and Opus 110 in A flat major by Ludwig van Beethoven, played according to period metronome markings given by Carl Czerny. As far as I know, my recording is the first one ever made of these two piano sonatas that gives consideration to Czerny's metronome markings. In this introduction, I'm going to talk a lot about tempo, about metronome markings, also about metronomes themselves, and about general performance practice of Beethoven's time. It's been a very exciting and fascinating project that gives a new experience of familiar piano pieces, or, in other words, piano pieces that we think we are familiar with. And it is as if a new Beethoven actually comes to light. First, some general thoughts. Music is an art form that displays sounds, melodies, rhythms over time. So tempo, or how fast or slowly we perform music, is crucial. When we look at authors in the 18th and 19th century, we find that they've always emphasized how important tempo is for an accurate interpretation of a piece of music. We also find that composers always have tried to give a distinct idea about what tempo they had in mind for their works. For instance, in the 17th and 18th century, we find a quite sophisticated system of time signatures and note values that indicates the tempo of a piece. We also find more and more the Italian movement names such as Allegro, Adagio, Moderato, Presto, etc. that give an idea and say something about tempo. But it's obvious that all of that still remains sort of vague and depends a lot on personal taste. With that in mind, we can imagine what a revolution it must have been when in 1815 a man called Johann Nepomuk Melzel put the metronome on the market. Finally, there was a machine that was easy to use, that could measure precisely tempo and time. Many people were very excited about that. Others were a little less excited, saying that this would add too much of a mechanical aspect to music. However, the metronome became popular very quickly and has remained popular ever since, as we know. Now, when we look at Beethoven's life, we see that the metronome was invented toward the end of his life. Melzel put the metronome on the market in 1815 and Beethoven died in 1827. He was among those people who were really excited about the metronome. He would add metronome markings to some of his works, for instance the famous Hammerklavier Sonata, Opus 106, but also the symphonies and other works. And for all of his works, including the earlier ones, we have metronome markings given by his friend and pupil Carl Czerny. Czerny studied many of Beethoven's piano works with Beethoven himself. He was therefore very familiar with Beethoven's idea about music and performance. He later on became one of the most important pedagogues of the 19th century. He wrote countless etudes for the piano, which are used still today. And he taught Franz Liszt, for instance, among many others. So he is a really important figure and a very important and essential source for our understanding of Beethoven's music. Now, if we look at the metronome markings both given by Beethoven and Czerny for Beethoven's work, we find that there is a mystery connected to those metronome markings. If we look at the fast movements like the allegros, we see that all of these metronome markings seem to suggest a very fast tempo. They are, without exception, at the very high end of the tempo scale. Some of them go even beyond a level that makes sense musically. And some of them go beyond a limit that is mechanically possible on period instruments. So it's obvious that there is something strange with those metronome markings. Something seems to be wrong. There is a mystery with these metronome markings. What that mystery is and how this leads us to a new understanding of Beethoven's music, that I'm going to talk about in the next segment. Now, please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like and don't forget to ring the bell to get notified when there is any news.